For as long as I can remember, I was the one holding my family together. Not in the dramatic, saving everyone from ruin kind of way, but in the quiet, exhausting sense that I was always the one expected to do what was right. My name is Alex, I'm 26, and I never imagined I'd be writing a story like this. But here I am. A friend told me to share this, to get it off my chest and maybe get an outside perspective. Because right now, I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of guilt trips, manipulation, and betrayal. And the worst part is, it's coming from the people who raised me. Growing up, I was the responsible child. Straight A's, chores done on time, never talked back. My younger brother Ryan, 2 years my junior, was the golden boy from the start. He could break a window and get a smile. I'd forget to take the trash out and get grounded for a week. You know how some parents claim they don't have a favorite? Yeah, mine didn't even try to hide it. Ryan got the better gifts, the bigger slices of cake, the louder applause at school events. Even when I was the one getting awards. I wasn't jealous back then. I told myself they just saw that Ryan needed more support. But what I didn't realize was that this favoritism would follow us into adulthood, and that it would cost me far more than a few childhood memories. By the time I turned 18, I had a job mowing lawns and saving every dollar I could. I worked my way through community college and eventually landed a decent role as a project manager at a tech firm. It's not glamorous, but it pays well and it's stable. I was proud of myself. Ryan, on the other hand, bounced from dream to dream. He wanted to be an influencer, then a DJ, then opened a phone repair shop that crashed within a year. Each time, my parents were there to pick up the pieces. Money? Sure. Free rent? Of course. Excuses? Endless. Despite all this, I tried to be supportive. I genuinely love my nephew and niece, Ethan and Sophie. They're sweet kids who don't deserve the instability they've been born into. I babysat when I could. Bought groceries when I had extra. I did it because I cared. But that care wasn't enough. Apparently, the bar for a good family member only applies to me. And it keeps getting raised. I had been renting the basement suite in my parents' house for 3 years. It was a good setup. Separate entrance, mini kitchen, my own bathroom. I paid monthly rent, not market rate, but enough to help with the mortgage and upkeep. I also pitched in for groceries and maintenance, especially when my dad's back started giving out. I thought we had a decent arrangement. I was wrong. The change came suddenly. I came home from work one night, exhausted, only to be met with the dreaded, "We need to talk," face from my mom. She told me, without flinching, that Ryan and his family were moving into the basement, my basement, and that I'd be moved to the hobby room upstairs. A hobby room that was basically a junk drawer with 4 walls. Sewing machine, random storage bins, dusty fake plants, and nowhere to sleep unless you count the floor. I was speechless. What? Pay rent. That's my apartment. My dad, sitting at the table, barely looked up from his phone. "They've got kids, Alex. They need the space more than you." I stared at them both. "But I've been helping. I've been covering part of your bills. You didn't even ask." My mom waved her hand, as if brushing away logic. "It's our house, and we have to do what's best for the family. This is temporary." Only it wasn't. The move happened almost immediately. Toys, diapers, screaming toddlers. My peaceful space was swallowed by chaos. Meanwhile, I was cramming my entire life into a glorified closet. No windows, no space, no privacy. I couldn't sleep, couldn't focus, and certainly couldn't breathe without feeling suffocated by resentment. The worst part? They didn't even pretend to be sorry. My mother acted like throwing a blanket on the floor was an act of hospitality. Ryan and Jenna acted like they owned the place. Jenna started using my shampoo. Ryan raided the fridge like it was his right. One morning, I went to grab the eggs I bought, and they were gone. The last straw was when Ethan came into my room, knocked over my laptop, and unraveled several spools of my mom's thread, then got praised for being curious. When I asked him politely to leave, my mom barked at me for being too harsh. I tried to talk. I really did. I sat my parents down and calmly explained, "This isn't fair. I pay rent. I help. And now I'm in a storage room." My dad shrugged. "It's temporary." "How long?" My mom smiled weakly. As long as they need. So I started breaking down. Mentally, emotionally, even professionally. Working from home became a nightmare. I was sandwiched between crying kids and clanging pots. One day, I snapped after Jenna blasted her speakerphone during a meeting. I asked them, politely at first, to keep the noise down. Ryan sneered. "What do you expect with 2 kids?" I expected respect. But clearly that was too much. That night, I packed a bag and booked a week at a local extended stay hotel. It was cheap, barely functional, but it was mine. I finally felt like I could think. When I told my parents I needed time away, they flipped. "You're abandoning your family," my mom cried. "You still need to pay your rent," my dad added. I almost laughed. "Rent? For the closet I just vacated." "Yes," they both said in unison. What followed was a circus of guilt trips. My mom called crying, begging me to return. My dad accused me of being selfish. Ryan even called to berate me, saying, "You don't understand what it's like to have kids. You're supposed to help." Supposed to? Since when did I sign up for this? Then came the family meeting. Not a discussion, an ambush. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all gathered in the living room, pretending to be concerned. What they really wanted was to shame me into compliance. "You're tearing this family apart," my mom sobbed. "You've always been the responsible one," my aunt chimed in. And that's the problem. Being responsible became an excuse to burden me with everything. My achievements were held against me. My hard work was used to justify everyone else's laziness. I finally stood up and said, "I'm done. I'm not your safety net. I'm not your doormat. I deserve boundaries." They didn't take it well. Afterward, my mom even called my job, pretending to be concerned so she could fish for sympathy. My boss pulled me aside awkwardly and said, "Your mom called. Something about housing issues." I was mortified. Then came the social media posts. Ryan, playing victim, wrote vague but scathing messages. Some people only care about themselves when their family is struggling. His followers, most of them distant relatives, flooded the comments with support. I was branded the villain without anyone hearing my side. I called Ryan. "Stop this. You're lying." "I didn't name you," he said smugly. "If people assume it's you, that's not my fault." Coward. When I confronted him in person, after he showed up at my apartment, he accused me of abandoning everyone. I told him the truth. I'd spent years holding this family together, and now I was done. He called me heartless. I called him entitled. That was our final conversation. I sent one last message to my parents. "I love you, but I need space. I will no longer contribute rent or food. Please don't contact me unless it's an emergency." Then I blocked them. For weeks, I was called selfish, immature, toxic. I ignored it. I had spent my whole life being the good son, the good brother, the good man. It nearly destroyed me. I moved into a new apartment, started therapy, and reconnected with myself for the first time in years. Eventually, the house of cards collapsed. Ryan and Jenna got evicted. Jenna left with the kids. Ryan spiraled, jobless, homeless, bitter. The same people who defended him slowly drifted away. Me? I'm thriving now. Sometimes family is not about blood. It's about respect. And the day I stopped letting people treat me like an obligation was the day I started living for myself. Months passed. Seasons changed. The calls and messages slowed, then stopped. I heard things through the grapevine. Ryan was couch surfing, jobless, trying to get back on his feet. My parents had taken out another loan to help him. Their house, our house, was eventually foreclosed. The basement, the closet, the memories gone. And I didn't go back. Not once. Not when they lost the house. Not when my mom ended up in the hospital briefly. Not when Ryan texted a weak apology months too late, ending it with, "Can we just go back to being family?" I never replied, because sometimes you don't go back. Sometimes walking away is the only way to save yourself. I built a life after the fire. I found peace in silence, in my own space, in people who didn't treat love as a currency. I learned to stop apologizing for setting boundaries, for choosing myself, for saying no. It took nearly losing everything to realize how little I ever truly had with them. I don't regret leaving, but I do regret staying as long as I did. The truth is, not every family deserves your loyalty. And sometimes, the best way to love yourself is to never walk through that door again.